Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks for joining me today. I'm back with a new layout for the Hip Kit Club, and I'm still using the 2017 May kits. The June kits are probably already going out at this time, but by the time this video goes live, I'm going to be out of town, so I'm having to do this ahead of time, so I'm still using the May kits. And I'm jumping right into my layout. I actually spent a good few hours before this part working on this layout, and it just kept changing and I didn't like it. I don't know what's going on with me lately. My mojo has just been so I just took it apart and had to take a break and come back to it. And so this is kind of what I'm jumping into here. I'm going to use this one picture of my oldest daughter, and I wanted to use some of those floral chipboard pieces from the Crate Paper 12 by 12 chipboard sheet. I hadn't used those yet, and I was going to use that 4x6 Project Life card on another layout, but then I didn't, and then I wound up fussy cutting out that really pretty colorful floral circle that was on it, and so that's what that is on the right, and I cut that circle in half so I can layer it. And I'm just kind of playing around here. I had a theme for today, and it's clever with alphas, and I kind of had to stretch it because I just could not come up, for the life of me, I could not come up with a clever with alphas idea. I tried and tried, and I kind of did, I guess, in the end, but it wasn't what I was anticipating. The previous layout that I worked on before this was focusing on that, and it just was ugly to me. I didn't like it, and it put me in a bad mood, and so I just had to stop and start over. So I didn't throw it away though. I still have it, but yeah. So anyway, I decided to go back to my acrylic block. I know I did this on my last layout, and do a little bit of watercolor with those Prima watercolor confections, and those are in the color kit this month. And I'm doing kind of a mix of the blue and the green to create a really pretty aqua color here. And I've got two Project Life cards layered behind my picture already, as well as some tissue paper and some foam. And I wanted this to be kind of a light and soft layout. I wanted some of the pinks, the blues, the yellows, my favorite three colors, and I didn't want to do a whole lot of watercoloring. I just want it to be kind of subtle and soft, and we'll see if it stays that way as I go. I went through all the pattern papers, and I've cut into so many of them, and then the rest of them that I have, I just was not feeling for a background. And my previous layout, I used one of the bright, I think it's called Begonia, the bright pinkish coral color cardstock as a background. So I thought I would go a little more subtle with this one and make a softer layout. And I'm just using, the brush that I'm using there is my water brush. If you've never seen one of those, I got it at Michael's. I believe they're about $8. And you just screw the lid off and you fill the pen up with water, and then as you brush it around in the paint, you squeeze it and a little bit of water will come out, and so it's kind of got built-in water, and you can see there it makes really nice round splatters if you squeeze it and kind of shake it. And I really like playing with that sometimes. I go through phases where I'll use it a lot and then I won't use it again for a while. It just depends on my mood and, you know, the look I'm going for, I guess. Okay, so here's where I kind of played with the alphas. This is part of Nicole's cut file for this month, and I took the word hello and I cut it 4 times on another sheet of white cardstock using my Cameo. I made them in 4 different sizes, and I wanted to create sort of a tone on tone with the white, so I would have some subtle words against the white background. And this is kind of where I stretch my clever with alphas, I guess you could say, because it's technically a cut file that's already a word, but it's still made of alphas, right? So it could technically be clever with alphas. Sometimes it's hard to, you know, fit fit the theme. And sometimes it comes very easily, and sometimes I struggle with that. And so this one just had me stumped. I couldn't, my creative brain was just shot. And so I really like how this turned out though. I love all those hellos, and I'm gonna use these really pretty alphas that are exclusive to Hip Kit this month and create the word beautiful. And so I love to mix and match my alphas, and that's something that I do all the time. I love mixing a scripty font with a block font or whatever it's not block, but it's not cursive and scripty, I guess you could say. And I'm making up that scripty. Is that even a word? Probably not. But you know what I mean when I say it. So I like to mix and match fonts. So now what I'm going to do is kind of go through and pick out a couple of those clear stickers from the Chamel sticker book and create a couple more clusters. Since I've got all the big flowers up around the picture, I wanted to do sort of a little triangle of flower clusters. And so I'm going to create a medium-sized cluster to the left and then a tiny one to the right. And I felt like I needed some more pink down there, and I didn't have any other pink flowers left. I went through everything, and so I just decided to fussy cut one from that really pretty Chamel flower paper. And I'm going to use that down at the bottom. I wish I had more of those crepe paper chipboard flowers, but this was going to have to work, and I like how it looks. And even though I liked the direction this was going, I still kind of struggled with it. I wanted to add a little bit of yellow to the top, but I couldn't get my block to touch my paper because of the chipboard that I'd already stuck down. So I just grabbed a couple of my gelatos and did some finger smudging there just to get a little bit more color kind of peeking out from behind the picture. And I wanted it to look kind of hazy and faded. And gelatos are good for that. Now, I did not use any gesso or anything on this cardstock, so they didn't smudge as nicely as they do when I use gesso. And so I kind of had to add a little bit of water, and added a little bit of the watercolor, the pink, to that pink area, and it kind of gave me a couple different shades of pink there. And I didn't want to add too much water because I didn't add the gesso. And so when you start to add water like that and you press around and you smudge it, it's going to start to tear the paper. And I didn't want that. So I had to be very careful. But gelatos will smudge on dry paper or, you know, without any gesso. It's just, it happens a lot easier and smoother with the gesso. So this is some of my shimmers, and I'm just going to add a couple splatters of pink because it's the perfect pink. It matches beautifully. And I'm just doing little spots, I guess little clusters of mixed media. I guess you could call it mixed media. I'm mixing watercolors with gelatos, so that's technically mixed, right? And I think this could still be considered on the soft side. It's not too bright. It does have bright parts, but I like the white space. Sometimes it's hard for me to leave a lot of white space, but I really liked how this looked. And this is some of the no yoking that I immediately dripped onto my picture. Of course, always get your picture out of the way or cover it up, because 99.9% of the time you're probably going to splatter some right on top of it. And I just did that. Thank goodness it was yellow and it wasn't on her face. But the no yokings came in a color kit, gosh, it might have been over a year ago. And I'm still using it. So the color kits are always a good investment if you like adding things like this to your pages, because you're not going to just use it up in that 1 month. You're going to be able to use it for quite a while. So I'm going to make sure all that chipboard is glued down and start to make sure that everything is in place. So I did find this pink heart, and I can't remember if that was an exclusive or if that was from the Chamel die cut pack. We got 2 packs of die cuts this month, but it matched, and I like that pop of pink over on the left. And even though it wasn't a flower, I do wind up adding some more hearts. And at first I thought I wanted to pull in that periwinkle bluish color that's in the flowers there to the right of the picture. And so I picked a thread color that was close to that to go under that heart, but it just didn't match very well. So I'm going to change that in a minute. But this is another shimmers that has not, we have not got that in a kit. That's from my stash. That's called Blue Jeans. And it's the perfect light blue periwinkle color. And it pulls out the colors of those little bluish flowers right there on the right. It's a totally different shade than that aqua, but it's really pretty. And I wanted to kind of echo that in the clusters. So I just add a little bit of that splatter. Here's where I changed the thread. I decided to go with an aqua because I felt like that area needed that pop of the aqua color since there's so much of it on the right and then down there in those alphas. And I like how that looks. And off camera, I did do some stitching. Did I forget to show you that up close? Through all of the white hellos, I just did a straight white stitch through each one, just to make sure they're all stuck down and to give a little bit of texture and interest. I always think machine stitching just adds something really fun to a project. That thread is yellow, and then I added more of the aqua to the right. Now here I wanted to use up some of these white thickers. I had so much of them left, or so many of them left. So even though this isn't really a starry layout, there's so many stars on there, I thought, you know, I'm just going to continue the white on white theme here and just stick some of these stars down. And they're so subtle, you don't really even see them unless you stare at it for a while and you look for them, because it is the white on white. And I felt like I was okay with adding several of them over the page because they didn't really take away from anything or make it look too busy. Just think it gives it a little more texture and interest. Now these are some of the hearts, the pink hearts and the light blue hearts from the exclusive alpha sheet. There's actually quite a few hearts on there. So I added a couple of those just for extra pops of color and to echo the heart on the left. So now I've got hearts, stars, and flowers. That was definitely not even in my original thought. But anyway, there's my layout. My picture's kind of fuzzy because it's been really cloudy and stormy here for 2 weeks now. And so I have to really play around with my editing. But that's my my final shot. I'm going to take another photo of it before I post it. But you get the idea. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It was fun to put together once I finally figured out the design that I wanted. I love Nicole's cut file. Those hellos are so, so cute. So make sure you check out the hipkitclub.net website, and if you look under downloads, that's where you're going to find all of these cut files. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Have a great week, and I will see you next time.